Welcome, everyone. Here we go again. Let's get our logo up. We got a really good one. We have to ask, what's sci-fi without good music? Think of all the sci-fi movies that you've ever seen, all the ones that you really enjoy. I can almost guarantee you they have great background song. Okay, good thematic music, good score. Okay, so today we're going to call it Sci-Fi Music Video Day, and Sci-Fi Miami has a music video contest, a music video section, catalog, collection. And we collect music videos from all over the planet. And they're, of course, awarded just like many of the other categories that we serve. And we believe that music and score and soundtrack, all of these elements are what help make a great story. So today we're going to be meeting with some interesting folks that have been part of the Sci-Fi festival over the years. And we're very, very fortunate today because we even have someone from year one. It's not easy getting people from the first year or two or three, because that was actually quite a while ago. So today we have currently Johan Elbrickson. We're going to have Tommy Mack from Nice Shoes. We're going to have Giovanni Bucci and Paola Rochetti from the lineup called Otoko. I hope I'm right with my pronunciation. And we might have a few others that will show up. Hopefully, the folks from Shy Munster, Luis Paez shows up, and also Ricardo Rodriguez, who you may know as King Nine. Ompa was a very, very cool music video that was actually performed live at the festival. So it's really amazing when you have these kinds of things that you can do for your fans, for the filmmakers. So let's bring some folks up here. Who do we have? Hello. Johan is here.
Hello.
Johan, which is from. Please state your name and your country, because we've got a heck of a lineup here today.
Yeah, my name is Johan Elbrickson, and I come from Denmark. So that's Northern Europe, just above Germany and just below Norway and Sweden, in case your European geography isn't all that great. It's a very, very small country. We have about 5 million people. So yes, we're practically a tiny suburban city in the United States.
Okay, and Giovanni, Paola?
Okay, so, I'm a bit of a mix. I'm half Dutch, half Italian, but I'm now in Los Angeles. I've been here for 10 years.
Oh.
So different part of the world.
Okay.
And, Paola?
Yeah, I'm Italian, 100% Italian, but I have lived in Italy for over 20 years. I spent about, over 10 years in the UK, in London, and now over 10 years here in Los Angeles with Giovanni.
International. So we're in Italy?
I'm from Rome.
Roma. Okay.
Roma.
The big city. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big city.
Yes. And Tommy?
I'm representing the mean streets of Burbank, California.
Yeah, blood-curdling, mean place.
It's inhumane what's happening on the mean streets of Burbank. It's a war zone. It's a local lake too. I'm telling you.
Man, it's what I've read. There are a lot of battles between the trees and the water in the ground.
I don't know what to say. It's carnage. Absolute carnage.
All right, well, fabulous, guys. How's my audio? Is my audio okay?
Yeah. It started a bit off, and then it got back. It got good. So
that's so bizarre. Okay, it's more of that horrific stuff that's going on in America on Burbank.
Yeah, it's spreading through the online connection.
We have online audio gremlins. They just go around, who are we going to screw with today? And then they get into the tubes that the internet's made of, because the internet is made of tubes. and they just go in there and they stick their noses and they sniff out the audio and they screw it up. I know this because I read it and saw it on Fox News.
All right.
That has to be it.
Bank actually means taking a beating in Danish. So in some ways, it does make sense that Burbank is a pretty rough place. Yeah.
You can't lie. You can't fake this stuff.
No.
I rest my case.
Wow, that's amazing. So, Johan, what in the world is all of that behind you on the wall? What's going on there, man?
Oh, it's my movie collection. I actually just moved a couple of months ago into my girlfriend's apartment, and she was very nice to. She'd been trying to persuade me for a little bit to get us to move in together, and her way of persuading me was actually building this entire wall. You can't see. I'm going to try and turn the computer screen a little bit here so you can see it goes all the way through the entire room and up and
Whoa.
let's see, up and down. Yeah. So that's about I think it's 3,000 films in total. Almost 2,400 of them are Blu-ray. So but it was funny. The moving guy was like, "Let me send you a link to Netflix. Ever heard about Netflix? It takes up a lot less space, you know." But
you're your own Netflix, man.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I even have a Johan's Blockbuster sign on the door into my office here. But I don't know. I've always had something about everyone in my family is big collectors of stuff. I guess a lot of sci-fi fans are big collectors of stuff. But for me, it's also that whole thing of actually having the film, having the cover, opening it up, that whole ceremony of picking up the movie that you want and putting it in the player, and just having that whole experience. And you don't just click on some menu somewhere; you actually have it. It's part of the whole experience of the whole thing.
You know, you could probably make quite a few million renting out.
Oh yeah.
Or somewhere in Denmark, you know.
Exactly. I would probably have to be pretty quiet about it. I think it'll break a couple of hundred copyright infringement laws somewhere.
You got to get clearance. You got to get.
Oh yeah, of course.
All you have to do is become a video rental store.
That could actually be that. Maybe that will be my next assignment in life. You never know.
We'll call you Denflix.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. Perfect.
Awesome stuff. So, Giovanni and Paula, tell us a little bit about what's going on in Los Angeles. You know, if you guys are there, and that's really cool. You know, Cali's a nice place, man. I like it there a lot. So, what are you guys doing over there now?
Well, a lot of things. So one side we have our company doing video production and post production.
Voiding Disorder.
Voiding Disorder. So Outco is actually is a band, so it's really confusing.
Yeah.
Because
Outco is the band, right? It's the band.
Yeah. So it's confusing because I have a background in music, and that's one thing, and then I have a background in filmmaking, and so they're two complete different areas. But they cross over a lot, and so it's getting pretty confusing.
No, that's good. That's good. I can tell you that as a festival, we get stuff. Not just that we get stuff all over the world, which makes us an international festival, but the fact is that we get stuff from people who make commercials, right? They make, you look them up. I look at every film that comes in, and I study the people who send stuff in because I want to know who are these people. Some of the stuff is really interesting. If they provide me with a lot of background about them, I do read it and I do look it up to check it out. And I'll never forget, either it was last year or the year before, we had a couple people that submitted that make commercials that you would see on TV. And the production quality is, very, very high because this is what they do on their day-to-day. And they just decided to make a film, a short film or something. And the way it's shot, one of them looked more like it was a sales ad than anything else. Just absolutely fascinating piece of work. And if there's time to that, I'll be happy to share it.
Was that intentional? To make it?
I've been trying to get them ever since they sent it. I've been trying to get a hold of them, and they never respond. They don't respond. They're from the LA area. I'll show it to you. I'll show you. And it's very, very impressive. Really impressive stuff. So we get all kinds. That's why we try to go out our way to acknowledge not just first prize, second prize, third prize, but we try to acknowledge the people behind the scenes, the editors, the people who make the music, the score, the set design. We take it to the limits. Everybody who's involved helped make that film. If there was a slip up or it's not done correctly, trust me, the people who are sticklers for this will identify.
Yeah.
So we try our best to acknowledge everybody that's within the production.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing we do is like we have our background is very is a variety, so we have different skills that we can mix together to make happen the music videos and the video production that we do happen.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I have me personally, I have background in graphic design, costume designs, and motion graphics, and then a bit of visual effects. And Giovanni in music and video production, video direction, motion graphics. So there's a lot there that we can combine to give shape to our projects.
Right.
And that's for our personal projects, which are mainly podcast videos.
I mean, we're in this industry because we like, passionate about art in general.
Yeah, combining different skills.
My background started when I was doing art school, and then I had a band, and I just wanted to keep doing that and making a living out of that instead of doing maybe something else. I didn't care that much.
Yeah.
So for me, everything started actually more with the music side, and but then I like the visuals, so I went into making, studying filmmaking, design, graphic design, and I started working a lot as a motion graphic designer for film titles, TVs, commercials, and then later on, I moved more into directing, and then we set up our company, and so it's a lot of things, all coming together, but always fueled by the fact that we want to do something with art in general. And the coolest part of this industry is that you can. I have a hard time to picking one. In this case, the awesome thing is that this medium combines everything. You have music, you have design, you have photography, you got acting. So you get everything. There's not a limit. If you have a specific art you choose, that's really cool. I love it. But at the same time, with this, you can just mix it all.
Yeah, you can use CG, you can use practical effects. It's fun. You can make it really fun.
Yeah, and you mentioned some really good points, Paula, because with costume, right? We're living in another golden age of science fiction right now. And I can back that up by the immense variety of sci-fi films, TV series, that are on Amazon or any VOD service right now. Whether it's just a mini series or they're going into their 5th season now, like The Expanse. Costume, the costume, what they're wearing plays such an important role. Even we can say something that, like The Expanse, which is as complicated as The Expanse, or one of the Star Trek varieties, all the way down to Watchmen. Watchmen. I don't know if everybody's seen Watchmen. I highly recommend that. I think Watchmen is actually, I would vote for it to be the best one series show ever. It's so good. The writing, not just the writing and the casting, but they'll take something relatively simple, but spin it in such a way to make it so different and so convincing that you can't put it down.
Paolo is really good with.
When I'm speaking, any static when I'm speaking?
No, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I'm hearing static here, some feedback.
Speaking of costumes, you have a great costume on as well.
Oh yeah, this is
Tommy also. I feel so embarrassed that I'm just wearing a totally. And you've got your cool band shirts on. I just got an ordinary shirt. I didn't know there was a dress code.
That's Johan pissed me off. I'm out of here.
Awesome show, awesome gear for Star Trek, as well as Battlestar Galactica and so many other variants of science fiction.
You know.
No, yeah, I think going back to the costume, I think it's really it's crucial, and for this, Paula is really good and helps on all of the projects. That's something she focuses a lot.
Well, we're definitely going to show. We're definitely going to show some of your work, guys. We definitely will. But let's get on to Tommy here. We don't want to miss anybody. So, Tommy, tell us a little more about what you're up to these days, and explain to us what's going on with that computer you got going on back there.
Well, first off, I'm just trying to get through life, figuring out the things that are important to everyone. For instance, did you know that you don't need a parachute to go skydiving? You just need a parachute to go skydiving twice. Now, you were just asking me, what's up with this amazing computer here? I'm glad you asked. You see, this is a brand new thing we've developed. I think it's going to be the hottest thing for your kids for Christmas. Why? Because they have to enter a series of 6 digits every 108 minutes. And if they don't, bad things can happen. What will happen? That's up to the parent to decide. Will they not get dinner for the night? Will they lose a limb? Will they kill Santa Claus? That's up to you. If they don't enter those 6 digits every 108 minutes, it'll be bedlam. And that's a wonderful thing to provide for your family, your kids, and for your sanity, because you can sleep at night knowing your kids are truly engaged in the computer age.
And
what was your question again?
This up. What am I missing? Was this on a show or something? Where did this come from?
Well, the Dharma Initiative is a scientific endeavor from the show Lost. That was on ABC, which of course is probably one of the best kids shows you've ever seen. It's very educational, and I suggest kids under 15 all go watch Lost on ABC. It's now available on most streaming services like Netflix and Prime. And it's very easy to understand, very short. I say go for it. Lost is a great little program.
Okay. From the series Lost, which, yes, Johan, I think, could add to that as far as the creator of Lost. Would you like to continue with this, Johan?
Well, I should say I admitted this just before recording that I've actually only seen the first 2.5 seasons of Lost, which is sort of embarrassing since I am a film journalist. I should be on top of having watched one of the biggest television shows of the millennium. I should have watched all that just to be in the loop. But yeah, my whole connection to this conversation that we're having right now, my conversation with my connection to Troy, is this music video that I sent in. It was for the very first Miami International Science Fiction Film Festival back in 2013.
Year one.
It's a little bit of a story. I'm going to try not to drag on too much. As short as I can make it. I'm a huge Trekkie. Star Trek has been my biggest passion throughout all of my life. And it's had a huge effect on me personally, but also professionally. And I guess personally, I should start off by saying, because I'm from a very small country, Denmark, that doesn't have its own science fiction history in terms of its culture. Because we're such a small country, we never had the budget, we never had the resources to make our own science fiction films or television shows. So growing up, especially 25, 30 years ago as a kid, being a huge nerd and a dork, and I know that, this is interesting. I think the word nerd or geek has now become like a badge of honor. I mean, it's become something to strive for. It's been so cool. It's so cool. I'm jealous of young people growing up today being geeks and nerds today, because they don't know the pain that we nerds suffered back in the 90s. But yeah. So again, huge Star Trek fan. That was this kind of sounds a bit sad, but I was a bit of an introvert, a bit of a lonely kid growing up in Denmark on the little island of Fune. But watching Star Trek, I never felt alone. I mean, all those characters traveling through the galaxy with Kirk and Spock and Picard and Data and so on and so forth always made me feel like I was sort of part of their community. So fast forwarding a bit, many years later, I became a film journalist. And for the very first press junket that I was invited to go to, this is 11 years ago, was for J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. So I was being invited to fly to Paris to talk to J.J. Abrams and a few of the actors, Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Eric Bana, Zoe Saldana. And so my immediate thought was, I have to do something creative because, that's something that I grew up loving, to do. And I started, touring around with film editing when I was 12 years old. And now that's my main profession. I've been working as a film editor for the last 15 years. But I thought that I got to make something with these people. I got to edit something or what can I create in such a short span of days? But I just couldn't really come up with anything. But then on the plane, on the way to Paris, so this is like 4 hours before I have to talk to J.J. Abrams, I read an interview with J.J. Abrams where he said that he likes to rap his instructions on the set when he directs. And I'd spent so much time in high school writing really stupid rap songs. So I immediately started thinking of words that would make sense in a rap for J.J. Abrams. So I wrote a rap for him, and I managed to finish it just a few minutes before walking into the room with J.J. Abrams, director of small indie films like Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Star Trek. And so I said, I'm going to start this off a bit differently. I've written a rap for you, and he was very skeptical in the beginning. You can see that in the complete version of the music video that I did. But luckily, I was able to turn him around. I'm not going to live perform it for you now. I think I actually still memorized the lyrics, but I did it for him.
You got to do it.
No,
that's gonna be awesome.
You gotta hear it.
It's a moral imperative now.
Really? Okay.
We gotta hear it.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Okay, so this is what I did for J.J. Abrams. I said, "Hey, my name is Johan. I'm kind of a dork, admiring an artist traveling at maximum warp, showcasing the energy of a young boy, enthralling even the likes of Leonard Nimoy, delivering what fans have been Chris pining for, ensuring that audiences will come back for more. His massive, the mysterious matches David Lynch, as evident in Lost, and his new series Fringe. Star Trek's got everything you'd want, you guys. Action, romance, and lots of reflected lights. Even better, it's got heart and soul, entertaining and moving as it boldly goes. I'm having trouble finding words that rhyme with Abrams, JJ. I hope that's okay. It's enough for today. Good luck, and the 8th of May is all I wanted to say." Wow. And so that was it. And then, thank you. And he actually stood up and came over and shook my hand, and he kept interrupting himself for the rest of the interview just to refer back to that rap. But then when the interview was over, and I have this on video as well, he actually said, "You have to record that. Promise me you'll record that." And so now we're moving on to the music video that I sent Troy. This is 4 years later, so this is 2013. And I sort of gathered that I was probably going to meet J.J. Abrams again for the junket for the sequel, Star Trek Into Darkness. And so I immediately thought, what if I meet him again, and then instead of rapping for him again, I'll give him a music video. So I spent all the money that I'd made as a film editor for like the previous year on self-financing this really weird, little short film / music video about a sort of more asshole version of me. Oh, sorry for swearing, but like a douchebag Johan who. Sorry, Tommy. But where I play myself in a way where I'm this really douchebag reporter who gets to meet J.J. Abrams again. But then the character's journey is he has to accept his inner geek. He has to go back to who he was when he was younger and accept his nerdiness, learn Klingon again and all this sort of stuff. And there's a whole scene where you can see this picture here where I'm fighting a bunch of Klingons in makeup, and we had phasers.
Is that what's happening there?
Yeah, that's what's happening there. I've been beamed down to a planet. You can see their Klingon makeup. They're all running towards me. Actually, if you look at it closely, you can see some of them are identical because my brilliant visual effects artist Mikkel, who's also incidentally my best friend, he spent several days on this shot alone, and one other shot just duplicating stunt people. You had professional stunt people, and some of them on wires and cables being flung around, all this stuff. And then at the end, my character, and then I progressively get better at rhyming and rapping through the video as I get more and more nerdy and geeky. So it's not exactly a music track it's not a absolutely amazing piece of song. It's more made in jest. It's more made in fun.
But we have to show that at least a tiny clip of this.
Okay, yeah, sure.
We have to.
please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see this.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But so yeah, but sadly the thing was then as I came to London and I had brought the music video and oh yeah, that's where I'm really an asshole.
Wait.
And yeah, that's early in the music video. I think if you fast forward a little bit to the Klingon part on the planet, just like
Tinder descriptions. That's when I'm really an asshole.
yeah. But actually, the funny thing, there's a huge cameo in the beginning of the film. I actually managed to get Tom Cruise into it as well, which is a little bit of a story in itself. Because yeah, yeah. Yeah. I got Tom Cruise in it because
Can you hear it?
you can very
No,
oh
yeah.
I was so much thinner back then. I don't think there's any. It's not any sound.
No sound?
No.
Hold on.
Now we're
Not from the
co-ed.
music video.
We're going to have to fix that. Hold on.
Okay. But yeah, Tom Cruise is in it because I knew that, of course, Tom Cruise is a huge, is friends with J.J. Abrams. They made Mission Impossible 3 together, and J.J. Abrams produced the other Mission Impossible films. And then I went to a press junket in Sweden for Jack Reacher, and Tom Cruise was there. And I got to have 3 minutes with him on the red carpet. And then I thought, wouldn't it be awesome if I could get Tom Cruise to start off my music video? So after I talked with him a bit, I explained the project for him. This is also in the complete version of the music video. You get to see me pitch my idea to Tom Cruise and talk to him about this music video. And then say, it would be so awesome for me if... And then he interrupts, he looks at his agent and goes, it's a gift for JJ. That's so cool. And then he starts off the video where Tom Cruise comes up on the view screen of a spaceship and he says, JJ, hello. This one is from me and Johan.
Okay,
So-
guys, I need you to mute yourselves so that there isn't any background feedback. So mute yourselves real quick. We're going to just play a little tiny clip. Hopefully you can hear everything.
Don't be shitty.
Jesus, this makes no sense. Compose a rap in 3 minutes? Dear God, cut me some slack. JJ is the prime director. This was supposed to be my big day. Bye-bye to my vain hope. I'll never impress the king of sci-fi. How on earth am I gonna be lyrical? It'll take a miracle. I'm gonna fail so bad.
Mit navn er PV. Velkommen på mit ski.
Can you teach me how to rhyme? I'm in too deep.
Lad være med at prøve. Bare start.
But man, rhyming is hard.
Ja, din hjerne forstår ikke mit sprog.
But my heart opens up to the flow.
Lad dig bare rive med. Ikke slås.
Wow, I feel the funk. I feel the force.
Nu er den samme frekvens, som vi sender i.
Something's changing. I'm charged with energy.
Du har det indeni, min lille tricky.
Hey, everything I say's rhyming already.
Yep, er du klar til næste træk?
Wow, I can do it. What the frack?
Yep, du er klar til næste træk.
What the frack? Mayday! Mayday! I'll never make it, JJ! Don't shoot! I'm not in Starfleet! I've been denying my geekness, undermining my true uniqueness. I love faces, not places, suits and ties. Gotta be the real me, cause it's do or die. Before everything was blurred, now I see clearly, I'm a nerd. I must face that and embrace that. Yes, I know the name of every Federation spacecraft. So, is that the best you can bring on? Yes, I know the board. Yes, I speak Klingon. Reject B25 BK, that means surrender or die. I guess I passed the test.
Oh my goodness. Holy
I'm sorry, you
shit.
guys. I'm sorry.
That was good. I
Awesome.
like it.
You are completely redeemed in my eyes for using the Wilhelm
Oh
scream.
yeah, I know. I know it's a cliche. It's a huge cliche.
You
Yeah.
can do no
Oh,
wrong.
perfect.
You
I'm
can do no
glad. I'm
wrong
glad
now.
you approved, Tommy, because it's I just had to throw in that it's a geeky
Absolutely.
video. It has to have the geekiest piece of audio that you can find.
Yes, and remind us all, what year was this?
So this was in 2013 because this is the year that Star Trek Into Darkness came out, which I was so sad actually because I really loved J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek, but I really disliked Star Trek Into Darkness. So I was going to a junket to show this video for J.J. Abrams after having made a Star Trek movie that I didn't really like. But I mean, the saddest thing was that the video ends with me entering the room where J.J. Abrams is supposedly sitting at the hotel, and then it was supposed to cut to his reaction from the junket. But then when I came to London, and as soon as I arrived at the hotel, the PR people from Paramount say, "Oh, by the way, J.J. Abrams isn't going to be here today. He's in business meetings."
What?
Yeah, and then I mean, we did so much, footage from that junket. You see, this is where I'm also, and I get that slap, and then I embrace my geekiness and I put on a Spock T-shirt instead. Then I've fully come full circle as a geek in the music video. But so he wasn't there. I think at that point he went to very early discussions related to The Force Awakens, because this was just a few days after he was announced that he was going to be the director of the new Star Wars movie. So,
Sure.
so I never got to show it to JJ, and I've met so many people in the meantime, done hundreds of interviews, but I've just never had a chance to meet J.J. Abrams again. I don't know if there's this little part of me that wonders, did he see me at the hotel in 2013 and then go to the PR people? That's the idiot who rapped for me in Paris 4 years ago. Tell them I'm in business meetings, whatever. Make an excuse, and then he just ran out. Maybe. But yeah, but it was fun. But the great thing is then, and that's what leads me to Troy, that in an attempt to get this video out there and to get it on IMDb and to be able to put it out there to people in the United States, I had to somehow get it to a festival somewhere in the United States. And then I went to, I don't know if the website actually exists anymore. There was a subsection of IMDb where you can send your films to festivals. And that's where I found the Science Fiction International Film Festival and sent it in and got it through. So, and that was the very first year. And I'm actually not 100% sure that there was specifically, you'll know this, Troy, I don't know if there was specifically a music video category. I think it was just like in short fiction that it was it was put in there. But I was so proud of it. That I was, it was the very first time I'd ever had something nominated at a film festival.
Well, I want to also say that was when IMDb was still out. Without a Box. That was
Without a Box. That's what I used. Yeah.
Which was the premier solution for festivals, and it was actually a challenge for people to create a festival there, to submit their films there. Not really a challenge to submit, because it was, I think personally, just like any other application, today it's just a lot easier to do things, which is why we have so many. But back then, you had to really know what you were doing, and you had to put in a lot of information in order to put your film in the submission system. But it was a tool that was considerably valuable, because it would also push the information out to IMDb. So all of your submissions, your awards, all that stuff would get populated in IMDb, which is not as simple as it was back then, in my opinion. So, we have primarily Film Freeway. There are other services that are available, but there's just an overwhelming number of submissions that go through Film Freeway instead of Without a Box, because it's gone. Amazon got rid of it. So, but let's continue on. Giovanni and Paula, we're gonna look at some of your stuff now. Is that okay?
Sure.
We'd like to hear a bit about what inspired you to produce this your work Disobey, right? It's called Disobey.
Yes.
The film. So give us a little insight on how did that happen?
Well, it's a combination of different things. One, yeah, it's again my background in music and having a band, and also the desire to do something without having a client, in the mix, and because certain things are not possible with the client sometimes, or in a client that understand and give you a certain amount of space, and to do disobey, it's a huge challenge. Something that takes time. Sometimes a client just comes at the last moment, so things are not possible sometimes, or if they are, they would cost like something that's possible. So, but yeah, it's mostly the really desire to do something without having, anything is possible as long you can pull it off. And it has been a lot of work. Me and Paola have been working on it. It was
wearing different hats.
Different hats. We did also between commercial work, so it took longer than it would have been by just doing it all at once. But it's been a huge challenge, and also because it involves all kind of departments where we wanted to
have custom made.
Maybe outfits were made from scratch, most of them. The environments, so everything is being built for the project almost. Yeah. So a lot of work.
Can we take a little bit of a look here?
Yeah, I think I've explained more than actually describing it. Yeah.
Is the audio coming through okay? No, did the audio come through with the last video we played?
Yes.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Do we need to mute ourselves?
Say it again.
Do we need to put us on mute?
Yeah, mute yourselves so that the audio will come through clear.
Sacrifice your individuality to become one of the many. The digital gods have arrived and demand your sacrifice.
I gotta say, guys, this is
Nice.
really amazing piece of work. You know, you have stuff that's going on in here that is light years ahead of a lot of productions that I've seen in the past.
You know, I think you're wrong. I think not you. I think Johan. I mean, not Johan. Giovanni. I think clients would love that in their commercials. I can imagine
Some clients.
I can
depends.
imagine like your Southern California helpful Honda dealers.
I would love that.
Or
I wish.
I'm going to pitch for it and see if I get some of.
I'm not a doctor,
commercial
but
with
I
it.
play one on TV. Find out if disobey.
Or like a music shop that sells cellos, you know? They would probably love it as well.
Everything going on there. You know, this scene here where you're obviously the only person in the shot, of course, but you've got this computer simulation running in the background that you're within, and then the camera's rotating, moving you in all these different perspectives. That's a really good piece of work.
Yeah, it's fun. A lot of work, like crazy amount of work, but yeah.
I think one
How
of
long did
the
it
best
take to,
skills. I think if I can say something, what I really like in Giovanni's work is really, really, really creative with camera work.
Mm.
He has his own vision and.
Well, CGI, it's fun because you don't have the restriction that you have in real life. So you can fly anywhere, and you can. That's really cool. And also you can time things to, especially in music video, you can time things with the flow and give it the same vibe and intensity that the music has. If you shot something in real life, you don't have that amount of control. So.
Yeah,
3D
that's
is fun.
where the artists, and the performers really know what they're doing. And our conversation prior to the role here of the show, I was saying how bands like Skinny Puppy, Front 242, Frontline Assembly, Ministry, I've been to all of their shows, and I could definitely see that you listen to some of their work too.
Of course, yeah, I know all of them.
How is your music being received in the community right now?
So, well, it's a brand new band, let's say. So
this was the debut.
This was the first track that came out. And nothing was around at all. So
nobody knew about it.
It had some good feedback, but by being having a new band, it doesn't. It's hard to make it go and take some speed. But actually, in the last month, it started actually picking up a lot. It started for an independent band, I was having I think in the last month about 300K views on the video.
Wow!
Which, of course, if you compare with a huge band that's been around, it's nothing. But for a new band, it's pretty cool. So it seems getting traction on streaming services and here, so I'm really happy. In fact, I'm already working on several other ones. I'm going to make another one which is going to be probably, with an extra layer of complexity compared to this. So it's in the works.
And how much time did it take to produce this?
Wow. It's so hard to quantify because we
lots of things happen.
Of course, there are many layers. You've got many layers of works on top of each other.
Yeah, so there's one thing. Since we didn't have a client, we had the advantage to have time. So we had this like say Paula maybe designed some sketches of a costume, and then we went find designers who were actually producing it. So we just give it their time to make it all happen. If you have to do it all at once, it's really hard to have all these custom made elements. But so yeah, that was adding time. Plus we were also working commercial work. So since we started and finished it was more than a year, probably.
For sure.
Yeah. So, but it's not being done all at once.
Sure. No, I understood. Wow, man, that's pretty powerful. But like I said, I'm a huge industrial fan. I know a lot of the artists out there, and I've even met some of them. So I'm impressed, and that's when this came in, I was like, holy smokes. Matter of fact, how did you guys find us anyway?
The festival?
Yeah.
I think Film Freeway, and I mean, I love sci-fi in general because it gives you a little break from reality, and you can, for a moment, think about other possibilities. We see every day, certain things, and it's just something nice to get transported in a different world. Yeah. That's what I really like about sci-fi.
And the music is getting a good reception in the California area.
Yeah, I think most of the audience is in the U.S. in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit.
Some nice comments that he's been receiving. Nice feedback on this
track.
I've
seen them on the YouTube page.
Yeah,
very
on
good.
This track and the video, is the people compare it to the one they see as a music video game soundtrack.
Yep.
Which we would love to do something like that for video games, and I think Otko, it would be a great match for that for that work. So,
people are writing. They wanted to see
it natural. Like we didn't push it. It just you can see that people really think it's a good match.
It connects with gamers quite a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft. Well, it was by Microsoft and Bungie. I think it's something else now. Yeah. But the Halo series, the franchise, was this would fit it quite nicely in many cases.
Yeah, lots of people mention. Lots of people mention Cyberpunk 2077.
They wanted to have it in a game. It's a new game that's supposed to come out since a while. It's kind of cyberpunk. It's a vibe.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Someone even did a trailer with this track. When they make their own music video.
Took the music and added stuff, gameplay on it, and you put out something and then people
chop it and make their.
Some people translate it in Spanish. Some people they make other stuff with it. So it's pretty curious to see.
Yeah. Speaking of translation, I watched the latest from the Mandalorian yesterday, and from what I counted, the film is translated into French, Spanish, German, and probably two other languages. That's how well it's being distributed throughout the world. There's so many different options for people to listen to the works. And at the festival, we can't give you an exact number yet because we haven't promoted it yet, but we have over a dozen countries represented this year. Way more than a dozen, almost 2, which is a first. Typically, we'll have somewhere between 10 to 15. But now we have more than that by far. A lot of new countries that are producing content.
Which countries produce? You get most submissions. So I'm just curious. Like, is there like a big difference between different regions of the world?
Well, let's say that the United States is overwhelmingly half from the U.S. But the remainder, we always get a lot, of course, from the UK, from Australia. Very good productions in Australia. Whoever's doing the teaching over there, I hope they're paying them very well because some of the best stuff we've ever seen comes out of Australia. But we always get stuff from France. But now we're seeing a lot of stuff coming out of the Latin American countries.
Yeah, because technology is democratized, let's say. So initially you had this barrier, which was
that is
if you're
correct.
going to afford a camera at a certain level, you couldn't do anything.
That is correct.
Nowadays, if you have a good mindset and you have a
You can use technology.
you can use an iPhone or so. It's
Yeah,
you can do great stuff.
For the first time, we have content from Poland, from Latvia, places that we never even had visitors from. Even people from Iran are trying to send us stuff, which, you can't pay me to submit the film, but we're getting sci-fi content coming out of places that never we would think science fiction would come from.
Yeah.
Last year we had, and the year prior we had sci-fi submissions coming from Kenya, and even won a lot of awards. Sci-fi content coming from China, which was never heard of, 4 or 5 years ago, but now we're getting it. And we even had a film that came in from China that won a few years ago, Best Sci-Fi. And now every year we're getting Chinese sci-fi being submitted to us. So just places that you would not receive it in the past, and now it's dominating. It's dominating the foreign contributors. So it's very impressive and very, very high quality work. And of course, the receipts prove themselves. They send the film in, and we get really lucky. Like from India, we had a film that came in from India. Same year that you submitted, and that film has now done so well. It was #1 on Netflix for some time. Got picked up by Netflix, and it's done very, very well. So we even interviewed them twice. It's just mind blowing, and the content and the stories are so different, with a spin on science fiction that is so beautiful. It's like I said, we're in a second golden age of sci-fi. And the music drives it, man. The music drives the story so well. Good casting, good costuming, great performances with a nice blend of visual effects to go along with, to complement their stories, and it's really good. But let's not go on too long, because this last piece we have to focus on here. Tommy really goes out of his way to feature as much sci-fi as possible, science fiction references, which you're not going to tell us how many, but has so many sci-fi references in his work that we have been blown away. We've been blown away by this, man, and you've got to fill us in. What's going on? What's going on with your sci-fi music video called "Nice Shoe"? Won Best Sci-Fi Music Video last year, and we've been blown away by this, man.
What's better than making a science fiction video than making every science fiction video? I mean, why limit yourself to just doing one thing? Do them all. Get it over with, then go away. I tell you, that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to retire right now. In fact, that's it. I've done every science fiction video in one video that's slightly over 3 minutes long, and now I can just bugger off. That's right. It's going to be that easy. In fact, the video is only slightly over 3 minutes long. Should we check out some of it, and so people can actually understand why it's so wrong?
Well, not to get too deep, because I'm a defender of science fiction, and I've been accused of lying. Okay, and I tell folks that I personally watch every submission that comes into the festival. I can't tell you what other people do at their festivals, but the reason why Sci-Fi Miami came into existence is because the underdog won. The underdog, meaning the film that I produced, Planet X, Part 2, The Frozen Moon, the documentary, which is about me in the film, it did so well, and it won in Tribeca. It did so well at Tribeca. We received more news coverage about our film, Journey to Planet X, than any other film except one at Tribeca. Michael Moore was so excited about the film that it was in his top 5, and that created a cascade of festivals for us that was overwhelming. We never experienced anything like this before, and it was a 3-year festival run.
That's wonderful.
The
power of science fiction.
Yeah, and it was at festivals that don't play science fiction. So for us, we give back to the community, and to give back to the community, the best way to give back was to create a festival for content that is rarely seen. A lot of independent science fiction is rarely seen, and at best makes it on Netflix, on Hulu, on Amazon. And now we're in this golden age where you can see it. It's, just so happens that we get it first, and that's the beauty of film festivals. Support your local sci-fi film festival, because that's where you're going to see all of those gems that
indeed
if they eventually make it to video on demand. You've got to search through 100 or 1,000 of them to get to it. So likelihood is that you're not going to watch it. But if you go to your local sci-fi film festival, you're going to catch all the gems. All the gems are there. We're not going to go our way to show something that's not a gem.
That's what's so great about your sci-fi film festival, because it just condenses it all together, and it's very convenient. It's wonderful, and it's a great fest, and you're a wonderful curator of sci-fi art. So I'm jazzed to be a part of it.
No, we thank you for that, Tommy. I remember when we first saw your production, we were so blown away. I had to call you. I think I called you late one night. I called you late one night about your film and said, "Hey, man, this is truly out of this world."
I thought it was the cocaine's talking.
Well, let's bring this up here, man. It took me a minute. I apologize for that. Let's bring this up, and let me know if you cannot hear it. It's really important.
Should we mute ourselves again?
Yeah, you're gonna have to mute yourselves.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas you just crossed over into the retro zone.
Oh. Holy smokes! Wow. How was the audio? Was the audio okay?
You missed the last part. The last part's the best.
Oh,
Oh.
The red shirt always has to die. The red shirt always dies.
nice. That was awesome.
Oh, so cool. So many different locations, and it might have been quite a bit of work, I'm sure.
Well, it's good to know the
all I
video
can tell you is
holds
that-
up without the audio.
when that came in, okay, when that came in, I said, "This is a winner. This is a
Why?
winner."
Thank you.
This guy has got so many different references of science fiction. He's got so many different, you can tell us, of course, now how many references, but just overwhelming. It shows that you are such a fan of sci-fi that this should be in a museum.
Oh, I agree with you 100% there.
It needs to be in a museum that reflects. Well, this is if you want to know what sci-fi is all about, start off by watching this.
I should have, you know what? In my next video, I'm going to start off with Harrison Ford yelling, "It belongs in a museum!"
I was thinking of that exact same quote. I mean,
Well, yeah. Matter of fact, in California, there isn't the Sci-Fi Museum there.
It's being built in Hollywood as we speak.
Oh, they still haven't finished.
Oh, hell no. Not during
They've been building
pandemics.
that thing for 5 years.
And they're obviously doing it very right.
Okay, because I know there's also an organization in California, and they're called. Because I have a little thing. For you.
My backpack, Daddy.
What? Go ahead, pick it up. Pick it up, sweetie.
I have a computer for her.
And thank you. Man. She's trying to get in the show, but she knows that she's not supposed to get in the show. But she's slowly trying to get in, and it's okay.
Well, while you're doing that,
she
to
came
answer
with
the
her
next
outfit
question,
and
I grew up with science fiction. I've loved sci-fi since a kid. I memorized Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I watched all the Star Treks. Star Wars changed my life when I was 7 years old,
Yeah.
like everyone else's. So this is my homage to give back. A fun little anecdote about the beginning of that video. We recreated the Twilight Zone right there.
Yeah.
We did it shot for shot. That's me holding a little wooden door on a stick. We did it so well that CBS, the network, sent us a cease and desist letter thinking that we just sampled their footage and just copied it. They didn't realize we shot it. We had to show them the behind the scenes footage of us actually doing it, and we won.
nice.
Yay, we took on the law.
So
we
then they must have fired that lawyer.
He works for Trump now.
But that's just so symptomatic of lawyers working in the entertainment business, right? Because they should be looking at this and thinking these are people who are making a tribute to what we've done. This is obviously a labor of love. This is obviously something that makes people even more interested in our stuff. This isn't stuff that we should be trying to kill off. This is actually stuff we should be encouraging and talk about. It's just so mind-boggling, that whole. They're so out of touch with with the creative world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were going to be using the Parity and Fair Usage Act as our defense had there been any problems. But luckily, everyone's been extraordinarily gracious. The director of Buckaroo Banzai, for instance, said it blew his mind, and I'm pretty proud of that fact.
Wow.
And-
What's his name? Buckaroo, the guy from Buckaroo Banzai?
W.D. Richter is the director of Buckaroo Banzai.
I remember.
See you
that.
at the party, Richter.
Exactly.
And who's this guy here that's speaking? That's on the screen, the video.
Actually, I just found that guy on Facebook. He looked a little bit like Rod Serling, but that's not his voice. I had another voice actor do the Rod Serling voice because
Wow.
that's how it works.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
Especially who
going
had
back
no
to,
budget, by the way.
going back to the cease and desist,
Mhm.
it's really nuts what's going on with the world of Star Trek. Um, what
Obviously,
happened with Axanar and
exactly. Rob
the
Burnett and
attack,
the crew.
the attack against them just created a very interesting spin on what's going on in places like YouTube, where if you want to just put up some content, clips, and just have a discussion celebrating the clip, you're in violation. And no. You're in violation of of everything that they have ever produced, and as a result, you potentially can be shut down, your whole operation. So it's something that's very, very bizarre, in my opinion, because if it wasn't for a lot of the fans, your content would not be shared, it would not be distributed.
Mm.
So it's kind of self-defeating when they do that. And I've been really concerned with the amount of viewership that takes place, because you can have someone that has 1 billion views. Okay, it's well known, obviously. There's only but so many billions of people on Earth, but it has 1 billion views. Let's take a look at the people that make the decisions, for the world, for let's say just the United States. They have a few 100,000 views. There's a very interesting piece of work that can be analyzed and discussed to show that what's more important. What do the people think that's more important?
Well, I think what you're touching on is a huge point, and we're at a real inflection area, because fans made nerd culture, like Johan was talking about, nerd culture, geek culture. We're the ones driving the financial engine behind all these big tentpole movies. The Marvel universe, all the science fiction, Star Wars, Star Trek, it's all about the fans and the geeks and the nerds, us. We're the ones who made it happen. And we did it during the dark days when there wasn't these tentpole movies, when we were considered the lower class. We carried it through the 70s and 80s when we were downtrodden. I just wanted to use the word downtrodden this whole time, by the way, and I finally did it, so I can end the interview right now. Just kidding. And so I think they're sticking a knife in the back of the people who are making them the money. I mean, do you think Comic-Con would exist without the fans? And now Comic-Con is just an engine for, pushing people towards movies and TV shows. So what CBS is doing, for instance, to people who want to make fan films for Star Trek, by saying, okay, well, now here's a limit. You can only do this, 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 and this, and putting such guidelines. They forget who made Star Trek to begin with and kept it alive and keeps it going. I think it's a travesty, and I think without the fans and the nerds and the geeks and all of us, then we wouldn't have the modern science fiction renaissance that we have today.
And you know what's happening? I watch content like it's crazy, because we get hundreds of submissions. I watch them, I research them. In addition, I try to watch the things that I want to watch. And my 5-year-old watches content that I would not want to watch, but I have to watch it. And I can see what's becoming the end product of all of this legalization and regulation and control. And you're going to have content that used to be made for $100 million. Now it's going to be made for a fraction of that. It's going to look like it's made for a fraction of that. And you're going to have content that literally costs, whatever the equipment costs to produce. And those are going to be the two competing engines to watch. How do we know this? The stuff that she watches, each clip may be 15 minutes long, and it has millions of views. It's produced every day. So it's like a Beyonce video is produced every day on YouTube. That number of people watch it, and it's produced every day. And it costs literally the amount of the equipment that's used to produce it. In other words, the cameras, the phones, the microphones, what few lights they have, whatever that cost, That's what it costs to make the film.
I am
And
blown away that millions upon millions of people watch people unbox things they bought at a store. Hi, I bought all this at a store, and I'm going to take it out of the bag and film it, and you're going to watch. And I'm going,
and now that same toy is showcased on Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
mm-hmm.
It was Ryan, which was the #1 show on the world. The #1 show in the world is Ryan, and it was on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Amazing.
It's the epitome of consumerism.
Well, that's why after I'm done with all this science fiction stuff, I'm going to do makeup videos.
Well, you look good as Max Headroom. Do a few more of those. That was pretty good.
Right. Actually, if I did a Max Headroom video for maxheadroom.com, that's much better than what we put in the video.
Yeah.
And what's so sad is I did that for Halloween a few years ago, and anyone under 40 had no idea who he was. I felt so old.
Yeah.
It was a shame.
It's going to take a very interesting mix to bring a lot of that back, but in my opinion, it's so very possible because we have stuff that is relatively old that is being rebranded, repackaged and rebranded, but it's still there because someone had to pay someone to get the license in order to redistribute it, to rebrand it and redistribute it. You see this a lot with 80s music. A lot of 80s music is being repackaged,
Daddy,
rebranded, and republished.
Mama called.
Give her a
The
call.
boss.
Call her back.
No, I did already answer.
Okay.
Mama's a code word.
Okay. Yeah.
We're all about to die.
It's the mothership.
Runs the house, man. It's just a very interesting, thing that I think that's happening with content, and I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. Right now, what's good on TV, like as I circulate with everybody, if you watch The Mandalorian, not going to give any spoiler, but it's definitely like a spaghetti western, but sci-fi, and it's done very well.
Well, I'd like to have everyone have a moment of silence because Pedro Pascal's in the hospital in critical condition because he broke his back carrying the whole weight of the Star Wars universe on his shoulders.
Nice. I was worried for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I was really worried.
Yeah.
Really, do you think you should ever listen to anything I say?
Everything you've said has been a pure gem, man. So I'm listening intently to everything.
I'll just go around going diamond.
Yeah.
Sapphire.
About the Mandalorian, the character that you have here, the character you have here, who this is supposed to be Katie Sackhoff. This is supposed to be Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, more rebranded. And she gets a third win because now she plays Bo-Katan on The Mandalorian, which is from Clone Wars cartoon series. And she did a fabulous job. So good, I'm sure people want to see more of this. It's just another example of, in my opinion, we're in this golden age of really cool sci-fi from the 80s, the original Battlestar Galactica, reimagined, all these new characters come in, a spin where they changed the genders on a lot of the characters. She did a really good job as Starbuck, in my opinion. And now she's got this role in Star Wars. So it's at the very pinnacle of movie, at least movie franchise science fiction. And she's going to keep coming back because she did a great role. She's going to come back either as Bo-Katan or in some other show in the future. That's a given. And now we have Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson comes to us last night as Ahsoka from the Clone Wars, as a Jedi Knight. I haven't had a chance to read any of the feedback, any news about it. I'm sure there will be plenty. I'm sure you're monitoring it, Johan. People are going to say something about it. But, once again, Mandalorian is carrying its weight. It's carrying the whole weight of not just Star Wars, but the entire Disney franchise as the pandemic wrecks the economy. The Expanse. The Expanse, which is now going into season 5. Season 5. And the series just gets better and better and better. It's not like it just flatlines. It's just constantly getting better and better and better. So they're doing something right with things. It's another show, in my opinion, to talk about this in detail. But the soundtrack of The Expanse by itself is fabulous.
I think Battlestar Galactica set the new standard for Barry McCreary's soundtrack for Battlestar Galactica, set the standard for what modern science fiction should be like. We're no longer using the huge orchestral trumpets and trombones and French horns from the Williams era and some of the Jerry Goldsmith and Horner stuff. Yeah. And so I think The Expanse musically goes off in that direction too. And of course with Mandalorian, another cool Scandinavian guy. More atmospherics and ethnic instruments. I think that's the new thing for science fiction, which I think is more representative of its universal appeal worldwide and universe-wide.
Okay, Giovanni, Paula, who am I thinking about that fits that description when we talk about ethnic instruments?
About ethnic instruments?
Yes. Who am I talking about? Who am I thinking about?
I'm sure.
I don't understand, sorry.
Ennio Morricone?
Oh,
Ethnic.
Ennio Morricone?
It's funny because to me, like if you say the Ennio Morricone and ethnic don't go together.
Oh, that's true.
Zampier, the master of the pan flute.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking about.
Wait, say that again, Paula.
You say the Ennio Morricone and ethnic?
No, I mentioned Ennio Morricone. I was just thinking, but yeah. No, but I don't know what Troy is thinking about.
Ethnic instruments.
Oh, ethnic instruments, yeah. Do you want me to say something like?
Well, what am I probably thinking about when, in the context of ethnic instruments and science fiction and something that will have mass appeal?
Well, I like the mix, the idea of mixing ethnic instruments with science fiction. I think it is a perfect match because to me, ethnic, for me personally, means something that I'm not familiar with and something new to my culture, something new to me. So they could be from another country, it could be from another planet, from another universe, from whatever.
That's right. That's right.
I think also
mixing together different sounds. I mean, I'm all for mixing not just sounds, but aesthetically and just have an open mind and not being stuck with your own, with what you know.
At the same time, I think I don't know. I would try to mix something that is actually not part of any culture. Something that's just. I mean, we want to go, move out of our world. So maybe electronic music could do it pretty well. Like, I don't know. For example, I love Tron's soundtrack.
Who?
The Tron soundtrack.
Oh, Tron. The Tron soundtrack. Yeah.
Because it's I think electronic instrument, those, if they have some kind of weirdness to it, that will help to transport yourself into a different dimension.
Let me give you what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The artist is called The Dead Can Dance.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
I was thinking about that.
Lisa Gerard?
Yes.
I knew you were. I knew you were, Paula.
Yeah.
Say that again, Johan.
Lisa Gerard from
Yes.
the Dead
He's
Can
the lead
Dance.
singer of Dead Can Dance, also used by Hans Zimmer for a lot of his stuff, including Gladiator.
Exactly.
Exactly.
She's amazing.
There you go. And The Dead Can Dance, the way they originally described, were a band that uses bones from animals to make music. And that's The Dead. And the dance is the music that you make from it, or the response from hearing the music of these dead animals.
Well, I think currently, as I mentioned, on The Mandalorian, Ludwig Göransson is using ethnic instruments on top of very cutting edge electronics. So he has that industrial and electronic feel like Daft Punk and or Nine Inch Nails, with a little bit of that Peter Gabriel, Boolean pipes and bass recorder and things like that, and gamelans and things. So you have that mix, and I think that is really the new sound of science fiction, because it can be anything you want it to be. You can have the tense industrial sound for driving something, or you can have the atmospherics of acoustic instruments on top of electronics. So I think that's really, I think we all agree that's the modern sound.
Yeah. I definitely would say you have two different sides of the spectrum. So one side of the spectrum is, something that's very, makes the attempt to be a very ethnic sound, but futuristic. And then you have on the other side of that spectrum, I'm sure everybody knows Trent Reznor and Atticus
Finch.
His last name.
Atticus Finch.
Mm.
His name is Finch. Last name is Finch?
Atticus Finch.
These guys who do a lot of work, with Nine Inch Nails and if like the latest Watchmen soundtrack. Just very deep, very deep. It's digital, but it's analog type sound systems. If you've seen some of the instruments that Trent Reznor uses, these oscillators, these large oscillators that they use, and it doesn't even have a keyboard, any keys. You just plug in patch cords to try to produce these bizarre octets with filters in them. So in my opinion, this type of music making really drives that part of the spectrum, which is, in the very definition for me, industrial music, because industrial music is machines making music opposed to organic instruments, which would be bones. So,
well, since the very early days of science fiction, using elements of musique concrète, which was tape loops and other oscillators from the very early days, and of course introducing wonderful little gadgets like the theremin, which I have one.
Yes.
Yep. Obviously, electronics and pushing the envelope of technology for soundtracks for science fiction, they go hand in hand. And that will always be there. I think everyone here has, got several synthesizers, plugins, Pro Tools, the whole works. And now even someone with a laptop can produce some amazing soundtrack work with just a little bit of imagination. And that democratization of music making and soundscaping, I think that is a wonderful thing, and I can't wait to hear more of it.
Oh yeah.
And also, I'd like to make a brief reference to one of my favorite science fiction scores of forever, which is Johan Johansson's score for Arrival. If you remember that film from a few years ago. He was actually a friend of mine. He died in 2018. I'm actually directing a feature-length documentary about him. He was an Icelandic composer who did so many of the great composers who work today were very much inspired by him. He did the music for films like Sicario and Prisoners, The Theory of Everything. So it was broadly from lots of different genres. But in terms of Arrival, it's very important for him that it sounded like nothing that you'd hear on planet Earth. And because the film itself is about trying to figure out what language these aliens are speaking and trying to find a way of communication. It was making music where he especially used vocals. He used a lot of voices, really recognized some of the best singers working in Europe and making them go to higher levels than they'd ever attempted before. And also then using all those vocals and distilling it into parts so the singers couldn't even recognize their own voices, or when they had recorded one piece and another, splitting it up so it sounds like it's a language that's taking shape. You can almost find like a sentence in there. You can almost find that there's a thread that's going through the song, but you can't quite nail it because it sounds like the music is taking shape, like the language is taking shape, like our understanding of these aliens are taking shape. And something else that was also very interesting, he used everything from, he used a lot of sound. He toyed a lot with that, that fine line between sound design and music. So sometimes you wouldn't recognize, is this music, or is it something that's happening inside the film's own universe? You can't make that distinction. So you're also a bit unnerved, like the characters are. And also working very consciously with making sure that his music was on a different frequency than the sounds of the aliens, so that they would complement each other. So that the aliens have these very deep roars, and then his music is, when they're talking, it's on a different, much higher level, so that the communication of the aliens and the communication of the music, which is trying to draw you into this universe of the film, that they don't collide with each other. They actually help each other out. I think it's one of the most. It's not a piece of music that you just put on just to relax to in a normal day. It's not that kind of soundtrack, but I think it's probably the most ingenious and original piece of scoring in the last 20 years, in my opinion. I think it's so amazingly unique, and it's a tragedy that it actually, I think it won the Grammy for best score that year, but it was disqualified from the Oscars because there's a different piece of music by Max Richter in the beginning of the film for like 2 minutes, and the Oscar voters were like, well, people will probably feel that this piece of music is a part of the whole score, which is just stupid, because every single movie probably that's won the Academy Award for Best Score, there's been a piece of classical music in that film at some point, or there's been some other music playing in the background or in the scene. So that was stupid. But Johann didn't care about prizes. I mean, but he was a visionary. Made some great music, and
one thing you make good points, and I think that something that people forget is that if you're nominated, realize if you're nominated, that means you are way beyond everybody else. It's a given. So just because you don't win the prize, the fact that you've been nominated by, perhaps there could be hundreds of other people that were in the running. So a nomination is really as good as the award. And that's what we try to tell folks in the festival, that a selection is extremely important. It's extremely good. It means that you made it in the room, and there are hundreds of others that never did. Some festivals, thousands of others that will never make it in. Thank you. Thousands of others that never will make it in. So it's critically important. Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. He wants to be my valet also. So folks don't really grasp the significance of being selected for a film festival. They really don't. They don't know that, oh, I sent my film in, and it's got to win. It's got to win. It already won because it was selected. That itself is winning. It's very, very important for folks to realize that, because what is the festival for? It's also for you to showcase your work, celebrate your work. You're being celebrated, and a lot more people are going to see it now than would have before it was selected. So it's very, very important, in my opinion, for folks to understand that the nominations are just as good, almost like the B-side of that pop song. Pop song in the old days, of course, we had vinyl, or there was a cassette or a CD. The other tracks are sometimes as good, if not better, than the song that's being promoted. All you got to do is listen to The Cure or Depeche Mode. Some of their songs are better than the ones that are popularized. So
some go out just because they're catching it quick. They hook people up quickly. But some other songs are actually better because they can stay with you for years. They don't. You don't get tired of it. Actually, some of them grow over time, but maybe those are not the ones who get pushed in the first place.
Yeah, that's true too. So I can see that.
Maybe even with videos, it's probably similar. Certain things, maybe you have to give it some time to understand it better. And awards, yes, sometimes there are things that are close. You don't even know if one should win or the other. But you have,
It's amazing how much science fiction that came out flopped decades ago is now considered masterpieces and cult films. Blade Runner, for instance, and others. And that's what I think I'm going to do from now on, and tell everyone that what I'm doing right now is going to be amazingly well read in 30 years. In fact, everything I'm doing is going to be a cult classic later on. Right now, it may suck. You may not care about it, but 30 years from now, I'm going to be dead, but also the man. In fact, talking about soundtracks, I think I'm going to mix that huge internet influence and a new sound. I'm going to do a music video with nothing but Baby Shark on it. That's right.
Please don't. But I mean, that's probably why we have that second age of golden age of science fiction right now. Is to talk about Troy. As a matter of fact, a lot of people like us who grew up with watching science fiction in the 70s and 80s, and especially loving that sort of stuff, and are the people who are now making the movies. And that's also, of course, why we have this. It's insane, this 80s revival for the last 10 years in culture and movies and music. It's because those people who love that growing up are now in a position where they can
hey, look
make
at my
that sort of stuff
hairstyle.
themselves.
I'm very 80s, man.
Yeah, it's the best decade ever, man. I love the 80s.
Guys, yeah, I got to tell you that, the 80s and the early 90s, in my opinion, and really the 80s itself, not even the early 90s, because by the time we got to early 90s, so much was already going on. But the introduction of the digital to the mass marketplace was in places like New York, where, we had this introduction of what do they call them? Walkmans, beepers, all these devices that we then modified how to use it, not change it, but just modify how to use it. So a beeper traditionally was a phone number would call you, and you'd get a message, and it would be a phone number. That's it, a message, and the message was a phone number. Okay, that means I have to call that phone number. But in the community, the mass market said to send not just the phone number, but send hello, or I miss you, or some other message that could be contrived with the numbers, the alphanumeric pattern.
Well, we have your kid.
Ratu Barada Nektu.
Yeah, it totally changed how we use things. And people started, the creators started thinking, well, we need to just take it a step further. And during that time was, once again, the 80s, before the internet. So it's the introduction of this digital content, this digital infrastructure before the World Wide Web.
There's also a thing that there was more original content some years ago. To be honest, there are so many sequels now that you already know what you're going to see. You don't have the surprise of seeing a new film and you have no idea what's going,
Prometheus
going to be. So another sequence. Well, sequels actually. You still go see it because you're loving it, but you don't get much out of it because you're just so familiar that you don't get all those surprises. And I don't know. Not sure what you guys think about it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Did you say something about Prometheus, Tommy?
Oh yeah, it was a fine film.
Prometheus.
It sucked ass. Are you kidding me?
In response to that, Giovanni, Prometheus, this alien prelude, I guess it was, or whatever it was supposed to be. I think that they had a really good idea, great visual effects, but whoever was in control or the decision maker on what to play and what not to play had no idea what Alien was about, had no idea what the fans liked about the film. And
sometimes money ruins something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
It's great, but at the same time, it's
but they forgot that the backstory of Alien, the backstory, it was a futuristic society. It had these interesting ships and interesting equipment and all of these weird things going on in the background, sort of like Blade Runner did. Had all this weird stuff going on, and of course we're just being pushed this foreground of content, whereas they forgot everything else that made it famous. Same thing that's happened with Star Trek. Same exact thing. They've taken out everything that made Star Trek interesting and want to force feed you just the foreground stuff. And everybody is, I don't know if I want to watch it. I don't know if I want to like it. That's what the response is. Whereas they're not giving the fans what the fans want, which is so simple to do in Star Trek. Because all you got to do is just make movies about all the hundreds of books that have been written. You don't have to do anything.
I'm going to be contrarian here in one aspect.
Please, go ahead.
I think we all have a little bit of a rose-tinted glasses on regarding past science fiction, including Star Trek. Come on, there were some really bad episodes in the original series. I mean, when you have Abraham Lincoln on the bridge, come on.
That was an okay episode, man.
Or
I say to that, there'll always be someone to criticize this, and make fun of it and so forth. But at the end of the day, the fans like it. You're gonna have people that criticize it.
And when Star Trek Next Generation came out, there was a huge backlash against it. Everyone hated it, and now it's considered a classic, and everyone loved it. And then they hated Enterprise, and they hated the new ones. So
DS9 was vilified.
Yeah.
Okay. And now DS9 is spoken more. They speak more about DS9 than any other science fiction that Star Trek produced.
It's also the best science fiction show ever made.
He said, I didn't say it.
Battlestar is, but that's okay.
Yeah. Kyle Sullivan at Trexpertise did an amazing vlog on that. Okay. It was so good we gave him an award for that. And anyway. But guys, I don't want to take away too much time, but I finally found a video that is a commercial. Okay? So you want to see it real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
We're just going to show a clip. And let me know if the sound is okay. Uh-oh. I think I broke it.
The first video had a good sound. The second two was not pure, I would say. It's like coming in through a microphone.
How's this? This okay?
It's a bit low too. Yeah.
Okay,
I think we're hearing it through your actual mic from the computer, not
yeah. I think the same thing happened.
Mute yourself, maybe.
That they speak,
Oh, we still have no audio, Houston.
No audio? One second. You said there was no audio?
I think toward the end it was a really low volume. But the first time when we saw John video, that was great.
Yeah.
But all the other ones had a little bit of an issue.
But my video, you played my video through VLC. All the other videos you're playing through your browser. I don't know if that means anything.
Yeah, try now.
Time may not be able to be altered in a day. We all know that. But through our scientific research, internally,
On the door.
in our body,
Like this one.
we can now speak the cellular language to slow time down,
Thank you.
to reverse it,
I want this to be a
to
door that they can go.
elongate it. We can communicate healing,
That's the door. You can get out.
to maintain beauty from our youth.
Oh, that's good.
To quickly repair damaged muscle and tissue from injury without surgical protocols, and to finally treat pain without pills or procedures. No adverse effects. Impossible to contaminate. In contrast, something I'm sure you've come to dislike about the treatment options you facilitate. I'm certain, Doctor. How are you doing this? I think if we start with the question, when, I can get you the answers you're searching for. Yes? When a cell communicates inside of our bodies, it becomes the control center, just like our brains. Just a reactive, organic, intuitive reflex to the wear and tears of stress, to the environment, to nutrition, and life. We all know how cruel it can be. The cells communicate sickness quite effectively. They are hardwired to spread, to inform the body of their injuries, and they speak their condition through signals to the other cells. And for my entire career, with the purest form of Elysian cell exosomes, you won't have to do so any longer. You have the potential to treat at the core here, Doctor, where everything starts, is now a science fiction reality and a possibility for all of your patients, if you so choose.
We begin today with breaking news.
People are aging faster. Noticeable skin degradation is huge to joint pain and injuries. Not even just on a professional athletic level anymore. This is happening to all of us. People just trying to stay healthy and work out and be better. But still these problems have become increasingly more common. So why is there no...
Better health and wellness begins with you.
What do you think?
I think it's a great way to sell cars.
And perfume.
James and Misty Busco, okay? If you can find them in Los Angeles, I'll be quite thrilled, okay? They're in LA and they brand. That's what they do. They help people create brands. And they sent this in, man, and I am so impressed with this piece of work. The way it was shot, it seemed like they got Rutger Hauer to come over and help them, play the role. The guy is like Rutger Hauer reimagined. I think they did a fabulous job with this. So.
And they used the Batcave from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Luckily, Los Angeles is a small little town. Everyone here knows each other, so we'll find it.
There are twice as many people in LA as there are in Denmark. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
I think there's about that many people in my apartment complex.
Just as long as they're in the apartment, Tommy, not inside your head.
Well,
hey, and real quick, hey, Giovanni and Paula, for your next video, let me become some hell spawn beast in it. Let me do something. Put me in there.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Please exchange.
That would be cool.
Please exchange contact info. Do it right in the private chat if you need to. I welcome it, folks. I can tell you that that would be fulfilling SciFi Dream by putting creatives together. You know, one of the most amazing things I think that could happen is that we get these amazing screenplays that are sent to us, and we have this amazing groups of talented filmmakers. Sometimes you just need to put something like those together. A great story with some talented filmmakers, and you're going to have a piece of work that you'll be able to sell on Amazon. You know, I really think so. One of the challenges in independent film as a filmmaker that I witness is that we have films that are sent in, and it's like, wait a second, you're such an amazing filmmaker. You just needed a better story to tell. You just needed a better story to tell. You've got something that looks just as good as Star Wars, but the story didn't cut it. That happens a lot. And many times you have filmmakers. Okay, you're a filmmaker. You may not be a writer. This happens all the time, where filmmakers want to make their own stories. And that's not really how it works in Hollywood. There's a writer, and then there's a screenplay writer, and then you have all these people that make the film. So, you know, try that once in a while. You might be amazed at the results. And one of the ways that I think, a great example of that would be some of these fan films, Star Trek fan films. I don't want to be a little biased because I was in a Star Trek fan film, The Mind Sifter. It was an amazing story that fans decided to produce. Great piece of work. And there's so many more like that. Star Trek does it so well because there's so many Star Trek fan films where someone comes up with an idea, a great story, and the fans decide to make it. So I like to, tell the people out there who are filmmakers, independent filmmakers, go get a good story, get a fabulous story. Okay, there are many more stories that will ever be purchased by Hollywood that never make it, never be seen. Your films will never be seen, but you can leverage a little bit to your advantage by putting some really good minds together. And I guarantee you'll get a few more views. Can't promise you the win. I can't promise you the world, but I can tell you that you put a few of those together, and you'll get some great pieces of work.
Well, you've already given us so much anyway.
What?
I was going to say, you've already given us so much anyway, Troy, so we want to thank you for letting us be part of your festival.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Those are kind words.
But collaborating is really fun, and I think probably get better because of everyone, adding something, and it also takes some weight out of your shoulders. So
yes,
it's sometimes it's just hard to find the right people, the right time, and connect all the dots. But if once you do that, then the results are definitely better.
That's right. Well, guys, this was supposed to be a 1-hour session, and look what time it is.
I blame Johan. For no reason
you
at all.
blame me?
And 2 people didn't even show up.
That's because I'm in the different time zone, so I'm screwing everything up. It's 10 p.m. right here, right now. Yeah.
Oh man, are you guys on lockdown over there in Denmark?
No, not really. Well, I mean, somewhat. But I think on a global scale, we're one of the countries who've made it through the pandemic the best. So we don't have anywhere near the same restrictions. It was actually weird because I was in LA in March. I was actually this is so weird. I was at the very last physical press junket in Hollywood before they shut down because of the pandemic. I was sitting in LAX, I think it was the 13th or 14th of March, and looking at my phone while my prime minister back in Denmark was telling everybody we're shutting down the whole country now. Everything from coming inside. So I just made it home. But no, we have one of the smallest fatality rates, and we have so few. I think in the summer, we had 15 people in the hospitals across the entire country. So, but we are very obedient people. We're also we're kind of boring. So we don't have we're not getting together in huge bands of groups and partying. And we were also it's so funny to me. We're often it was like 5 years in a row recently where we were chosen as the happiest people on Earth.
Yeah.
But we also the country on Earth where the most people take Prozac and other types of medicine to to improve the mood. So it's kind of a paradox, but we are pretty reserved, and we like to keep the distance to each other in the best of times. So it's So I'm really looking forward to getting back to the States, but it's And
well, if you come, you definitely got to head south.
Yeah.
Of course, if you can coincide it with the festival, probably in 2022 we'll have a real event.
Cool.
It's going to be virtual because I personally don't want to expose anybody to any risk
that
could destroy their lives and their families. So we're looking at a virtual festival in 2021 in February and last week of February, and we welcome everybody here. If you want to participate with the music videos, like Giovanni and Paula, they're part of the music video judging and an expedition that we have. So everybody's welcome.
Cool. I'd love to, and I visit California a lot ordinarily, so I'd love to visit you guys over there as well. And if there's room for one more among the 5 million people you have in your apartment, Tommy, that could be cool as well.
And we'll work on the dance remix of Baby Shark.
Of course, yeah, sure, yeah.
You'll get some likes there, pal.
You can add some of your rapping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to point out, Giovanni, you're going to be doing the vocals.
I will do the screaming and
yeah. And
got the rapping.
You didn't use a vocoder, right? You didn't use a vocoder with that.
No.
Yeah, he's really
bourbon.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Good stuff. Well, guys, as we wrap this up, is there anything that you'd like to add as we wrap this up?
Was that a deliberate pun when you say wrap this up?
Yeah, we're done. We're done.
Just for all the filmmakers out there, the best thing to do is just get out there and do it. Too many people I know are about to do it, and there's not enough going out and doing it.
Oh yeah, with everything, with music and
one of our team here, our staff, Prav, he's asked you to type "run" on your computer.
Damn it, man! Do you know what would happen? Here's when Locke comes in going, I think it's time we find out what happens if you don't press that button. All right.
I saw the kitten was quite tempted to jump on it before.
Syntax error in 4. That sounds like a newscaster. Like, coming up next, we have a syntax error in 4. Stand by.
Probably the go-to line in line 10 in your Apple Basic code.
10. Kill yourself. 20. Go to 10. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Giovanni, Paul, you guys like to say anything?
I don't have a closing.
No, I mean, I was just happy to be part of this. And while we were talking a lot about the past and what inspired all of us to be where we are today, I also like to look at the future. And sometimes I like to imagine what is going to become reality. You know what we see in sci-fi movies, and that's going to be the future. And now we are in the future.
Yeah.
With the present of the future that was portrayed in past films, and it's fascinating and interesting to see what became reality and what stayed, still. Fantasy imagination. And sometimes I find myself thinking, what's going to be like in 10 years, 20 years, something that I cannot even imagine now, like maybe we're not going to have phones, we're going to have just thinking, typing things. I don't know, what I mean?
Wow.
I just try to imagine what it's going to be like.
Well, sci-fi inspires actual scientists and people. Oh, the feedback is going, scientists inspire filmmakers and the other way around as well. So it's who knows where we get.
Once again, thank you for everything, Troy. It's film festivals like yours that keep us living.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for turning words. Thank you, Tommy. That's real neat, guys. Well, sadly, we eventually have to go. So we don't like to use the word bye-bye. We should use the way the French do it. You know, how does that go again, Johan, over there in France?
In France?
Oh, I'm sorry. Denmark.
À bientôt. Au revoir.
Je ne parle pas français, Troy.
We say au revoir. We say au revoir.
Arrivederci.
Au revoir.
Are you sure it's not hasta la vista, baby?
That's the one.
Touché.
She's me,
Game over,
petit
man.
vache.
Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? Game over, man.
Why don't we build a fire, sing a couple of songs? Why don't we try that, huh?
Well, of all the people I've met, you're some of them.
Okay, guys. Till next time, and stay in touch, and keep us informed with whatever you're doing. We always want to know, and we'll always share it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.